Welcome to Naturally Off Topic, a podcast where we discuss legend, theories, crimes, and more. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mariah, and today we're discussing Ed and Lorraine Warren. All right, hi guys, how are
What's
you?
up, everybody? Oh,
Mariah's recovering from a hangover. That's
okay.
and I was sick last week, so yeah, I'm just getting it all.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that always happens, like literally right before we go on a vacation together, because we have a road trip coming up, and you were really sick on the last
Yep.
road trip.
So I hope that all
So,
my sickness is gone after that.
how much you want to bet it's me this year that gets sick?
As long as it's not me, my friend, but I hope none of us get sick.
Agreed. I really do. But welcome back, guys, to Naturally Off Topic. We are so happy to have you here with us. Naturally, we have our alcohol because that's always part of a good storytelling, is some
Also
good
the only
drunkies.
way it's also the only way to get rid of the hangover feeling. So
Yeah, I have to admit, I recently started the hair of the dog technique. I used to always
yep.
be against it, but now I can confidently say that it is a lifesaver.
Mm-hmm. So what are you drinking today, my girl?
I have my naturally Persec, my favorite bottle, which is shout out to La Mareca Prosecco. Please make me a sponsor because I probably fuel all your sales.
You'll be so proud of me. I also bought that same Prosecco, but I added my own twist, apple cider because it's fall.
Oh my God, I love that.
Uh,
So, just to give you guys some insights for you new listeners, existing know our drinking habits, but just to give
typical.
you a little sense, Mariah, my lovely co-host here, she can drink probably about anything. I think the only thing I would say I haven't really seen you really like take to is beer.
No, I
Um,
actually don't mind it.
oh, okay. So, but I just don't see you drink it a lot, I guess I should say.
Right. I
But
have been picking
you
it up more, but
yeah, but you've always been, you like shots, you like hard liquor, you like
I love a good
ciders,
shot.
and you can drink that. Ever since Mariah and I have been friends, I have only been able to really handle a few types of drinks. Like, she's literally seen it. My body revolts against certain alcohols. It is the weirdest
It's
thing.
so sad.
It's horrible. But being the best friend that she is, every time I come to visit or we hang out, she'll literally get Prosecco and she'll drink this champagne with me. And I think it's so funny now that I feel like you're kind of starting to really like it because you're so used to drinking it so much that you're now choosing drinks, like apple cider champagne. Like, and I just love it.
Yeah, it's just so easy. And last night, unfortunately, I have to report I ate I ate an entire box of beef stroganoff.
What?
I woke up the next day. I swear to God, I was burping beef. It was terrible.
Oh, that's the worst when like you
I
ate
hate to put
something and you can
anybody
taste
through
it.
that visual, but it was just terrible. I like ate it all. And then I looked at Keith, my husband, and I went, I fucking ate the entire box. I ate like 3 days worth of calories. What the hell?
Oh my God, that's insane. Honestly, though, I ate an entire 12 pack of Hawaiian rolls the other day.
Honestly, go off, Queen.
So I'm right with there. I'm right with you on that.
Oh, but I guess
Oh
enough
my
about
God.
my fuck ups and your fuck ups. Let's talk about these fuck ups.
Yeah. Well, really
I don't want to
quickly,
cast judgment too early on, but I will say that when we started, I had an expectation that has now been completely destroyed the more I research it.
oh God. So really quickly, guys, I just want to recap. So last week, or was it 2 weeks ago now, we talked about Bigfoot and where we stood with that. So let us know still in the comments what you believe. I think after that episode, I brought it up more to my friends, and people have actually been like, wait, you actually believe in Bigfoot? So I understand
See?
now where you came from with that like it's kind of like a not a shameful topic, but just an interesting. So that's just a little self-reflection I wanted to
Yes.
add.
Everybody thinks you're fucking crazy.
Well, so
I don't know
thank you
why,
guys
but
for the feedback. But today we're talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren. So, okay, so I'm curious about this. You had an expectation. What was this
yeah.
expectation?
Well, I feel like I did hear that they're like a mixed review. Like some people like them, some people hate them. And I know Megan liked them. And I
I
just thought,
did.
like, I don't know the reasoning behind the love or hate. And so I guess I was going into it thinking, like, okay, I'm sure there has to be like something here. Like, there has to be a reason they're so famous. Like, there has to be a nugget of truth. And they just like not to give it away, they just seem like liars. Like
Interesting. So
I
I
guess I'll get more into it, but like yeah, that's my that's where my mind has been. What about you?
Interesting. So like I'm a big fan of the movies and I know most of their cases Ed and Lorraine have now been translated into some major motion picture of some kind and I love scary movies. So like that was totally up my alley. But then like really reading into the actual cases and Mariah and I spoke briefly before we decided to record this episode. I did a lot of research into what actually happened at these different houses and these different quote unquote hauntings,
Yeah,
which
she misunderstood the assignment.
I misunderstood. So I have a lot more extra information than I probably need. And so with that though, my take really was like, I really truly felt that obviously the real cases were way less dramatized than they were portrayed. And I have a hard time fully believing that they're tricksters.
We're kind of giving away everything before we even talked about it.
Yeah, you're
Like we're
right. So
kind
I
of
guess
doing our final analysis right now when we shouldn't.
oh, goddamn. New format, guys. We're trying.
Just
I just like when I go into an explanation, I just go way too hard.
anyway, so Megan and I, we both started and we watched this documentary called Devil's Road, the true story of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Um, this is where I am realizing they were fucking liars because I have a lot of notes from that I had to go over and change when
Mm-hmm.
resources, even on their own website, were counteracting this fucking documentary. So honestly, this documentary came out after some allegations that we'll have to talk about later. So I
Yeah.
feel like it was a CYOA. Is that what it's called? Cover your own ass. That's what
Yeah.
I feel like it was. Um, hopefully the family doesn't fucking hate me for that, but I'm sorry, I'm disappointed. So anyway, I have cross-checked these facts and let's get into it.
I'm ready.
Ed and Lorraine Warren were both born in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Lorraine Morin, that is her maiden name. It's very similar to Warren. She's born in 1927 and Ed was born in 1926. Lorraine is known as the clairvoyant in the duo. She claims, here we
Okay.
go.
Yep.
She claims her powers awakened at 7, 9, and 12. The sources have varying answers. Basically, what she had said her powers were, where she could see auras and deceased people. We have a friend who has something similar to that. So that's plausible. It's
Yep.
just already starting with the lies, brother. Okay. So
And I'm
there
curious to see where you feel like it's lies too, because I know that was like such a highlight of her career is like how she would put her hands out and she would go into these haunted buildings and whatever, and she could just feel the bad jujus going on.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it if she did have something, but it's just like already when did her powers awaken? 7, 9, 12. I mean, I guess you could say that it's hard to remember when you're that age, and so you're randomly throwing out a number, right? But like, can you stick to
Totally.
it? And then, okay, so this is the other thing. So there's a story that is told everywhere. She went to a Catholic school with nuns, and
They
in
use
the
those rulers.
documentary, what?
They use those rulers. They slap in those wrists if you do things wrong.
God, I want to be there. No, I'm just kidding. So, in the documentary, it says that a nun overheard her speaking about her powers and told her never to speak about it again. Like she was talking to her friend and she said, "Oh my God, there's an aura around this nun." And so anyway, that's that story. But then that is the only one that states that story because all the other reports that I see says that she went to one of the nuns personally about her powers and then was told not to speak about it again. Is that a big deal? No, but it just pissed me off because I'm like, why'd I watch the goddamn documentary?
Yeah, I because we did take a lot from this documentary, and it's interesting, honestly, just dissecting it a little bit now, is that hearing that a lot of it's wrong. I personally, I didn't do a lot of deep dive into their personal life. Like I said, I went hardcore into their cases for some reason. Dumb girl problems.
Yeah, so that's okay. I'm gonna try to like not shit on the documentary a bunch and just try to like piece out what I do have that's correct.
But I
So
feel like
anyway,
in a way though, like honestly, Mariah, when we were looking at watching this documentary, I do remember us looking it up, like are there any documentaries? And this particular one, we saw two versions of it. We saw The Devil's Road and then we saw the true story of Ed and Lorraine Warren. And
so it
then
is the same thing. It's called
right,
Devil's Road, the true story of Ed and Lorraine Warren.
right. When we looked at the reviews,
Shit
they
reviews.
were horrible.
This is
Horrible.
probably
So
why.
yeah, because it's obvious people have taken interest in their lives and like I kind of feel bad for them in a way that this botched documentary
I guess, yeah, it's totally not their fault. Like, I'm over
like
here,
they were
like,
dead.
bragging about it, but they were literally dead. So I don't know who the fuck put it together, but I think where I'm like, oh, it's a cover up and all this is because their daughter was in it.
Right.
So that's where
Yes,
I
she
was like,
was.
they're trying to cover it up. But like, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the daughter thought that they would do a better job.
I was gonna say that's not ununique to a movie where someone says this is how the movie's gonna show up, and then you look at it and you're like, this is nothing than what I
Yeah,
expected.
it's not on them. I mean, so anyway, I can verify that according to all accounts, Ed did say that he started to experience hauntings at his childhood home around the age of 5. There we go. Promising.
Hmm.
So anyway, a big part of his haunting was seeing an old woman's face in the closet. She never said anything. She just stared at him with a disgusted look on her face. His mother battled alcoholism, very sad, and his father was a very religious policeman who refused to listen to Ed's ghost stories that he was experiencing. But one moment that is brought up in the thou that shall not be named doc is that Ed went to his dad and said one time, Dad, something doesn't feel right here. And his father responded, Ed, there is a logical reason for everything that happens in this home. But then
Yep.
Ed admits, laughing, that he never actually told him what that reason was. So,
Yep. That was from the Thou Shall Not Be Named.
God, I don't know why I'm so spicy over that. I'm sorry. Like I'm
No, I
gonna not.
love it.
So anyway, on to their relationship. Their story began in 1944. That is the only definite fact. Because, wow, I just roasted the shit out of it in my notes.
So we
Anyway,
know for a fact that they were married, and that's the only viable evidence is that they were together. They were two humans that had intercourse. Well,
they met in
supposedly.
they met in 1944. Wait, listen. Okay, ready?
Ready?
So, Megan, I bet you got the same answer, but what age did they meet?
16. 16.
Because everywhere says that they met at 16. But as we have stated, they were born in 1927 and 1926 and met in 1944. This
That
would
does
make
not
them
make sense.
17 or 18 years old.
Yeah.
So even their age is a lie. The only reason I even caught this was because on a different podcast, it's called True Crime and Cocktails. They pointed it out when they were talking about it, and they did some digging into the age not matching. And basically what they had said is they feel like it has something to do with the army because we know like Ed ended up joining.
Right.
Regardless, just saying, there's already a lot of muddiness. Um, so
Yeah.
anyways, back to how they met. A lot of people say that Lorraine was out with her mother at a movie theater they often frequented, and after a couple weeks, had asked to walk her home. However, the official story in their organization's website says that Lorraine was out with her friends who introduced her to Ed, and he was at the movie theater, right? Her mind wasn't focused on boys, but when she saw him, she thought, gee, what a nice looking man. And Ed walked the girls back home, grabbing them a Coke. Lorraine ordered an ice cream soda instead, which cost 10 cents instead of 5, and Ed joked that he always knew she was a gold digger. That is on the official website.
Damn, buddy. Damn.
Hey, I
Always
mean,
knew if
you
I
called
could
it,
get an
right?
ice cream soda for 10 cents,
She said, no, I want a fucking root beer float. Get me
you
a
buying,
fucking
then
root
I'm
beer.
getting more.
Yeah, like she said, I want to eat at the Red Lobster.
She was like, row 34, let's go.
So up to here, do you have anything you want to add on that part? Everything I've touched on, anything?
Honestly, you really hit it on the nail. I guess here's my thing. I want to just add like a little personal piece. The whole like I guess controversy about like when they met. I guess to me as somebody who's like actively who had researched their life and their story, like what impact is it if that was muddied? You know what I mean? Like, is it a huge deal that they met from 16 to 17? Like, I like not trying to belittle anybody. Like factually, is there like is that in like super
It's just like why? I guess that's my frustration is why lie about it? Like also, how come no one besides that podcast caught it? How come I didn't catch that?
No, you're right, you're right, you're right.
Like that it's just like it's a known fact in air quotes that they met at 16 in 1944.
Right.
But that's not a fact. I just I'm not going to pay too much attention to it because you're right. It doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. No. Most sources say that Ed joined the army a year later on his 17th birthday. However, we know that he's definitely older than 17 if his birthday truly is 1926. At
Okay,
this
yeah.
point, whatever, you guys. I'm fucking 23, born in 1996. Apparently, you can say whatever. That's what I put down. So moving on from this debacle, the age debacle. On February 5th, 1945, during World War II, Ed's ships attacked by the enemy, causing the boat to sink and Ed to jump into freezing ocean, seeing no other options, and his fellow crewmates doing the same. Is there anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, so with that, after, he's on this boat, which I didn't fully understand. He's in the Navy, but it's a shipping boat. So like they were shipping materials to well, obviously for the US. And Ed's story really is about what ended up happening, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but this is something that I actually did read and slash was also stated. He claims, air quote, that during this shipping disaster while he was in the Navy, his boat ended up catching on fire and starting to sink, and he was thrown overboard, if that's correct. And
He jumped. He
jumped,
jumped.
sorry, jumped. I was either thrown or jumped. I couldn't remember which, but he was jumped overboard due to the fact that there was this massive fire on this boat. And he claimed to have been encompassed in a basically a circle of fire around him, which we've seen fire mixed with oil on water that can actually happen when shipping disasters and things like this happen. He had heard a nearby shipmate like in the water being like, help me, sir. And he goes, I'm gonna save you. And he that's this is all going off of the Thou Shall Not Be Named documentary and claim quote
Yeah, no,
unquote.
that documentary was wrong. That didn't happen. I
So
looked it up.
he
That's
didn't
incorrect.
actually
He
say,
didn't save shit. He did not save fucking anybody.
okay, so
Like, what?
That okay, so like maybe I don't really have more to
Well,
add.
that's why I left it out because I'm like, nah, he's a fucking liar. He did not save anybody. What the hell?
Did he say that though? Like that's what I'm
Yes, in the documentary, he said he grabbed the shipmate and like he felt this power of God or something like that, and like was able to, and then all of a sudden, like a boat came and saved them. A boat did come, but
the
like
Coast Guard,
I
right?
don't, I didn't see anything verifying that he saved somebody.
But
Like,
did
and I didn't see
he
that again.
okay, so I guess my question is, but though, did he like on interviews like saying like, this was like because the like in the documentary and the way I had kind of thought and portrayed it was he actually like did say this in interviews that this was a turning point for him is that after he jumped off this boat and he quote unquote saved this friend and he was like surrounded by this circle of fire, he claims to have seen the fire split and the Coast Guard boat was right there. And in that moment, he knew like this
Yeah,
is real. Like, is that, did
right.
he physically say
I
that? Like,
think that if you like look them up online, it like only says, oh, they're scariest cases. And I'm like, I can't like find specifically them talking about themselves online or something like that. But I do know
mhm,
that I think for the most part, that story is correct. Like there was that fiery boat and all that, and there was somebody that came and saved. I think the only gripe I have with this is that I do not think he saved anybody.
got
That
it.
is the only part that I'm like, wait, no.
Because there's no verified source from this human saying, like, yeah, he did save me.
Right. And like also I had only seen something about him saving someone specifically that one time.
Got it.
So,
So we
but
already
it did
got
affect
some
him.
super skeptical shit going on.
I'm a little skeptical. So anyway,
Yep.
he goes back home on survivor leave briefly, marries and knocks up Lorraine Warren and goes back into service. They have had their first and only child, Judy, who, funny enough, is terrified and wants nothing to do with the paranormal. But her husband, Tony, is obsessed and has taken over their company, founded in 1952, New England
Yep.
Paranormal Research Headquarters.
The
The website's actually
NSPA.
called, so the website is actually called when you click on it,
TonySperera.com.
TonySpera.com.
Yeah, or Spera, sorry.
Yeah, which goes into more stories about Ed and Lorraine's life, written by Tony, and it has one of the most tragic grammar and spelling I've ever seen, next to one of the Bigfoot websites that I stumbled across a couple weeks ago.
I'm dead. All right, so
Kind
we
of funny
clearly
though,
need
like
to
he's
have
just
better topics.
yeah, definitely check it out and get a good giggle because yeah, I hope Tony doesn't hate me for saying that, but he is a little creepy the way he words it. Like he's the one that said Lorraine said, "Gee, what a nice looking man." Which if she did say that, cool. But I don't know, just weird to write that about your parent-in-laws.
Yeah, and going off that, like the Tony guy, so I told Mariah about this couple like after we watched the documentary that shall not be named. Um he has a spin-off show on Netflix and it's about 10 episodes where he picks the most haunted locations across America. There's one in like an old bakery and
Tony?
like yeah, Tony, like the
Okay.
the the
Yeah.
son-in-law of the Warrens. And he actually, and I watched the whole series. He sent his team of various paranormal investigators and he made sure in this document or sorry this little series he that there was a somebody like Lauren a clairvoyant, sorry I don't know the exact terminology of like what
Clairvoyance?
clairvoyant, thank you, clairvoyance, somebody who is an investigator and then a videographer to each of these various locations, and they put cameras in these locations. So obviously the cameras are installed ahead of time. And these people stay there for like, I think a week. The goal is to stay there for a week and find out what happened. And some of the parties were able to really like contact the other side, quote unquote. And based on what they and all of the people that were sent to these various locations had no record supposedly of the location ahead of time. So they didn't know who lived there, they didn't know the tragedy, anything. And these people went into these places and were able to piece together like who used to live here based on the ghost or whatever that was haunting. And I have to admit, as like a viewer, it was very like intriguing and I really enjoyed listening or watching it. But so watching that and like seeing the experiences, it's hard because I'm like, I want to believe it, but like who's to say because they produced it, like Tony produced it, who's to say it's true or not since he kind of took over this empire for them.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I obviously I believe in the paranormal and stuff. It's just
Totally.
sometimes when it's taken a little too far, I'm like, I don't know.
Sorry,
So,
naturally off topic there, tangent.
so anyway, after the war, both the Warrens had developed an interest in art. They actually didn't travel with their daughter often, if at all. She actually lived with her grandparents at a young age.
Funny enough, I actually want to say I think that's the one thing in the movies that they portrayed correctly because I think
No,
a lot of the no, the
they said
movie
that
she
they
was always
traveled with
alone.
her.
No, in I'm saying in the Hollywood movies, like the
Oh.
movies, like it was the one time they portrayed because Judy was always home alone with the grandma and she would
Oh, is that
experience,
right? I didn't even
yeah.
think they had a daughter in the movie.
Oh my God, yeah, Judy was in the movies. She was
Oh,
in
wow.
Conjuring 1. She was in Conjuring 2. She had very like small roles, and obviously they were actresses and actors, but I will say that is one thing I feel like the movies did portray correctly because like there were even scenes like in Conjuring 1, for example, where Lorraine calls the her mother and was like, check on Judy right now, and it was all obvious that they were
Oh, I
out on
think
a
I remember.
case and Judy was home.
Gotcha, gotcha. I think I do remember that. Okay, cool. So they got that right. Awesome.
Thank
Conjuring 1.
God.
So Ed would paint haunted houses and offer them to the homeowners in exchange for the homeowners to let them explore the haunted buildings.
Could you imagine?
That interesting,
Could you imagine just like someone knocking on your door being like, yo, I painted your house. I'm convinced that it's haunted.
right?
Let me go inside, and in exchange, I'm going to give you a painting.
Did he just go up to like a hoarder's house and say that's definitely fucking haunted? Like,
No, seriously.
I don't have much on the end of their life. Um, all I will say is if you're curious, Ed died in 2006 and Lorraine at 92 died in 2019. Anything you want to say, Meg, on
Um,
that part?
that is accurate.
You didn't want to say anything else. You're like, no, let's
No,
just get
you're
into the other
right.
stuff.
You're right. You're right.
Oh. Anyway, how about let's get into the nitty-gritty and let's talk about Judith Penny.
Oh, Judy. I'm like,
Judy
Judy.
Penny. Literally like the biggest part of this entire thing. In 2017, The Hollywood Reporter obtained and wrote about legal filings and recordings against the Warrens from legal declarations given by Penny in November of 2014. In the 1960s, with Lorraine's knowledge, Ed Warren initiates relations with a 15-year-old, you guessed it, Judith Penny. At the time, Ed is in his 30s, driving a city bus, and Judy was a student at Central High School in the nearby town.
So can we just like first pause and say how fucked up is that he is not only like messing with someone who's 15, but
Yep.
the person has the same name as his child.
Literal daughter. Literal daughter.
Who's
Someone do the
this?
math. How old was his daughter back then?
Oh my God. All right, somebody find out for us, please.
Well, if he was in his 30s and she was 15, I suppose he had his daughter around 18, right? So his daughter was probably like a couple years younger.
That was me
Crazy.
growing up.
So the two began a sexual relationship, and by 1963, she moved into the Warrens' home where she lived for the next 40 years, allegedly.
She just was like, I'm moving in and I'm not like
Well, they
leaving.
were all in a relationship together. Well, more so like Lorraine was okay with her and Ed like being together, I guess.
So basically, this is maybe not the first, but one of many recorded thruplets.
The OG, the Warrens, not the only the Warrens, they were not the only OG demonologists. They were the old OG thruple.
And
That's terrible. I
what I
shouldn't be
read off
joking about
that,
that.
I know it's so bad. Like what I read off of that is that oh God, now I'm losing my fucking train of thought. Is that oh, Lorraine literally like made it a point like in PR and press releases, like there are accounts of people literally being like, all right, like what are we gonna do about this? And Lorraine's like, we don't talk about it, we don't discuss this. This
Oh
is
fuck.
like this is something that's never to be spoken of, like just to essentially keep face and to keep their brand and this, their paranormal investigations afloat.
Oh, definitely. Lorraine, apparently, during The Conjuring, she said that the films weren't allowed. Her stipulations were the films cannot show her or her husband engaging in crimes, including sex with minors, child pornography, prostitution, or sexual assault. Neither the husband nor wife could be depicted as participating in an extramarital sexual relationship. Um, it was obviously declined to comment on when the Hollywood Reporter reached out to I believe it was an attorney. But
Oh, maybe that's what I read.
so alleged.
But
What a
like,
weird request.
and also like, is there any verification or fact that she actually did live in that house for 40 years? Like,
Okay, yeah, actually. So let me get through this then. At first, Penny stayed in the bedroom across from the couple, and eventually she moved into an apartment built for her above the home. And she said in a recording from that deposition, she said one night he'd sleep downstairs and one night he'd sleep upstairs. Even in 1963, Penny was arrested after someone reported her relationship with Ed to the police. She alleges she spent a night in the prison while police tried to persuade her to sign a statement of this, but she didn't comply and was ordered by the court to report to a delinquent youth officer for the next month. So, according to Penny's account, Ed picked her up from school every week and drove her to the mandated meetings.
so hold the phone. Quick pause. Can we just like also, she was arrested
Yeah.
for this. And
Yeah,
he
wait, what? That
being the
doesn't track,
one
huh?
grooming her and basically saying that this relationship is okay, that this is okay, and that you should be doing this as a 15, 16-year-old, whatever the fucking age she was. And she got in trouble and was required to go to court, mandated shit in 1960s. Really?
Oh, okay, wait, that makes more sense now that it's 1960s. Because at first I was like, you know what? Maybe this was like not true in that part
But
because
like
it's
even
like
in
that. And
1960,
then I'm like,
that's a little
yeah,
like to
wouldn't
have
they
a
like,
15-year-old go to court mandated shit after being fucked by a 30 plus year old man.
yeah, yeah, you're probably right there. I don't know if I believe that, but I mean, I can't say like I don't know.
Oh no, no, no.
But
It probably did happen, but like this whole other ordeal, it's like another break in the story. Like honestly, when we do, and I think we're leading into this, we're gonna do a part two at this point, but that's something that we're gonna have to like look into more is like that makes, at least in my mind, make
yeah, like
zero
a fact
sense.
check if possible.
Yeah.
I don't know how we would fact check something from 1963. Obviously, if this was reported in like legal filings, then they would have checked that. So I don't
And
know.
like
Take
legally,
it with
like
a grain of salt.
yeah. Tread with caution.
So anyway, Penny had said that Ed told her many times that she was the love of his life.
The love.
She was introduced to people in public as their niece or a poor girl that they took in out of charity. So, this is a quote from the Hollywood Reporter. in May 1978 in her 30s, because keep in mind, she was there for 40 years apparently. Penny became pregnant with Ed's child.
Oh boy.
She had said. In the declaration, she said Lorraine persuaded her to have an abortion because the birth of the child could become public and any scandal could ruin the Warrens' business. Like you said,
That's the note that I was thinking of. That's what
yeah.
I read, is that she literally forced her to get an abortion.
Yes. So it says, though Lorraine has claimed to be a devout Catholic, Lorraine said her real God is money in a tearful recording. Yikes.
I mean, bitch, you
I don't
ain't
know about that,
wrong.
Penny. Because that's
Bitch,
kind of
you
like
ain't
fucked
wrong.
up to say. Damn. I mean,
God,
maybe
money is my God. I mean,
that's
like,
that's crazy.
we all need it though. So, like, she might be on to something. I'm kidding.
Oh God, and this is the fucked up part. She says, if they fucking did this, this is crazy. They wanted me to tell everybody that somebody had come into my apartment and raped me. Trigger warning on the word. And I wouldn't do that. I was so scared. I didn't know what to do, but I had an abortion. The night they picked me up from the hospital after having it, they went out and lectured and left me alone.
Yikes.
Terrible, terrible.
And this is the love of your life.
Yeah. I mean, and at that point, what, she's with him for like 15 years? That's crazy. Over 15 years. Damn. So apparently Ed was sometimes abusive to Lorraine. She said she witnessed Ed backhand hit her so hard that she lost consciousness. You said, how do we know that she was around? Okay.
Yes.
So one time, Ed claimed that they captured a white lady ghost. You know how, like, that's like a common ghost you hear about, the white lady. Okay.
Yes.
So, on tape in the summer of 1990, after camping out in a graveyard for the week,
Oh yeah, this was the graveyard
yes.
case. Yep.
Penny puts like a sheet over her or something like that. I don't know. She does something. And anyway, she is recorded and Ed tries to say that this is a ghost, but then it comes out later that that was actually her.
Motherfuckers. Like, I actually, funny enough, that is one of the cases that I haven't read in too much. I went deep into Annabelle, the Arnie Johnson, Snecker House, the succubus case, and Amityville. Oh, and 966 Lindley Street Poltergeist.
Yep.
I went deep into those. And I did see on the case files though that there was the graveyard case, and I did read slightly that there was like this white lady, but that's actually hilarious that,
Wait,
you're
you
kind of
didn't realize it was actually Penny?
no, but
Well,
like
Judith, Judy, but
Judy, but like here's the fucked up part though, is that case is still on Tony Spare's website.
no.
It is. Go look. It literally is the
Is there
graveyard
the
case.
recording? Can you see the recording? Can I see Judy?
Let me see if I can pull it up. Oh, here it is. Union Cemetery. Nestled in the small town of Easton, Connecticut, Union Cemetery keeps over 400 years of memories buried in its sacred grounds. The cemetery contains graves which date back to the 1600s, unmarked graves, and so on. Inside one such unmarked grave is said to exist a young woman who passed away in her mid to late 20s during childbirth. She is most told story of the cemetery and is known to be quite the prankster. She has been seen by hundreds of visitors as the White Lady. The White Lady is described to having long, dark hair, wearing what looks like to be a white nightgown and a bonnet. So then it goes on to the Warrens investigate. The White Lady was photographed and videotaped on multiple occurrences by the Warren.
Oh,
They
I'm
along
sure.
by the Warrens. They along with their team at NESPR, apologies, I think I said it wrong in the beginning, so sorry, have documented each piece of evidence in their book, Graveyards. And so that is all it is said about this particular sighting. Unlike other cases where on their website they literally state like conclusions that, for example, with the Annabelle doll, they claim to have done a priest did a quote unquote like blessing over the doll, and now it's in the Oculate Museum. But just wanted to let you know it's still up there, the White Lady case.
Tragic.
Very
Tragic.
tragic.
Do you know that they even in their own book, one of the books, they mention Judy Penny.
Oh God. They have a
Okay.
lot of books. Which one is
I
it? Do you
believe
know?
this is, oh, and I have a good one for you.
I'm
So
ready.
anyway, I guess in the book it says something like this. Pete telephoned the Warrens and spoke with Judy Penny, a young woman who works as a, what's that word? Liaison license?
A liaison? Liaise? I have no
I'm
idea.
just gonna say who work. Okay, I'm
Who
just gonna say.
works? Who works
Hold
for
on.
the Warrens, maybe?
I'm trying to figure out how to say it without saying the word. Pete telephoned the Warrens and spoke with Judy Penny, a young woman who works at the
Who works?
fucking A. Okay, roast me. I don't know the fucking word. Liaison or whatever. I don't fucking know. She worked as goddamn that. When Ed and Lorraine were out of town, Judy has some hair raising. Oh my God, this is
Hair
not my
raising.
night. Judy has heard some Judy has heard some hair-raising tales over the phone, but this one particularly scared her. The Warrens are out west, she told Pete Beckford, but I'll relay the message to them. In 2017, when it came to the public, Judy was in her 70s, and Lorraine's attorney said that Lorraine is in her 90s and in declining health and cannot respond to these allegations. Wah, wah.
I mean, at this point, she's 90. She's like, let me just die in peace.
Oh, literally. I think she did die in peace, though. I mean, like, bless you, girl. You know, like,
Yeah.
she is someone's mom. I don't want to be rude. Like, she did, like, she was a part of iconic cases. And I do, as much as I'm shitting on them, I do appreciate the work they did in the sense that, like, we have some interesting stuff to look back on. And they did bring up The Conjuring. I wouldn't have known about The Conjuring without them.
Yeah.
But that being said, the best thing that they have given this earth.
Is comical.
I have been dying to tell you this, Megan.
I'm ready.
I left this to the end because this is the best part. And
I'm
this is
so ready.
this is why I was so heated about saying, oh, they're liars and all this and that. And I wasn't calm. So what topic did we do last week?
Bigfoot.
So he's gonna come back. Okay.
What?
So in their book, oh, I was shook when I heard that this is a thing. In their book, Ghost Hunters, published in 1989, Ed and Lorraine Warren recount the time they met Bigfoot.
What?
Oh, it gets better, honey.
I'm ready. I'm
So,
so ready.
so basically, Ed and Lorraine, they head to rural Tennessee to go have a lecture tour. They meet a group of frightened, quote unquote, hill people, is what they're called, seeking their help. So apparently, according to these people, something was after their children. One of the women claimed that a massive, in quotes, ape man had crept up on her 2-year-old and attempted to snatch him away.
To snatch him? Oh my.
So
Sorry.
Lorraine decides that she's gonna help them, okay?
She really
Uh
is just like, I'm ready.
and the only reason she decides to help them, I believe, is that she said, I quote, she had never seen poverty this raw. What?
Ooh. Ooh. Rough.
Bad take, bad take. So anyway,
Girl, you gotta fix your language.
she follows them into the woods. Girl, you're gonna get killed that way. But anyway, hours later, she's exhausted, okay? And she's like, I just want to rest my limber body on this tree. And so she takes the break near a tree, and suddenly Her mind is, I can't, her mind is flashed with a mental image of a large creature, a fusion of man and ape. It had the face of a caveman, but its eyes were kind and showed intelligence. She knew it was Bigfoot. This is coming from the article, by the way. Lorraine Warren telepathically communicated with Bigfoot in Tennessee. Spoiler alert. As
Wow.
she focused, she realized that Bigfoot was actually only 40 feet from her, hiding in a thick bush, and he was injured. Bigfoot was telepathically communicating with her, and he said, I am hurt.
Help me.
He had a really bad injury on his foot, like was bleeding everywhere, okay? And he says that he says, Bigfoot says that during the travels of his day, he somehow managed to hurt his foot. And he was worried that this injury would prevent him from being able to return to his wife and child,
His colony.
his secret cave.
His
And
secret cave.
he's
Okay.
now experiencing great fear and he misses his family. So, so Lorraine begins returning telepathic messages. Shit you not. And she she said, you know, you terrified this settlement by attempting to kidnap one of the children. And Bigfoot shakes his head and says, no. He says, youngsters don't have the prejudices of adults. This is from Bigfoot. Um, so he felt that he could explain the situation to the child and like make a friend.
Got
And
it.
so Lorraine develops this maternal love for Bigfoot, and she says, I will be your friend, and I'm going to approach you and help you. And she projects images to him of her bandaging his foot. So anyway, she goes towards the bushes, and as she's doing that, someone in the group like sounds off a bullhorn, okay? And Bigfoot runs fleeing into the forest, like crying, thinking, I thought you were my friend. And so he's like limping up a hill, going as fast as he can, shaking with fear and exhaustion, and disappears. And Lorraine and this group spends 20 minutes following a trail of blood to the edge of a cliff where there was no sign of the creature. AKA, this case file ended with an apparent Sasquatch suicide.
Oh boy. I
What do
mean,
you think about that, my friend? That is just mwah, chef's kiss.
yeah, wow.
That's all I have to say about that. There's not much you can say.
Especially considering we did do some research and I don't and even if Bigfoot is real, like the fact that he could speak telepathically,
That's not his MO.
that's
That is
not
not.
his
And he
MO.
wouldn't be scared and run away, like limping. Like, what? It's Bigfoot, my guy.
Like, god damn, they really be trying to hit every angle, every next thing we should look up how they feel about and we said this last time, please don't kill us, skinwalkers.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I'm dying to do that one.
Oh my
I
God,
think we
yeah.
just got to get over this Ed and Lorraine hump because I think I'm losing brain cells.
Yeah. And okay, so this kind of goes back to what I kind of was saying in the beginning. Reading some of their cases and knowing that, for example, the 966 Lindley Street poltergeist, which was the Goodwin's home in 1974, which happened in Bridgeport, Connecticut. There were so many witnesses. With the fact that there's so many witnesses to certain hauntings, I do truly believe that in certain cases that maybe things were real, that it's a possibility that there were some paranormal hauntings of some kind. But at the same time, the messiness of their lives and also beyond that, hearing your side of it where you kind of dove a lot deeper into, their lives. And like, obviously, I did some research on the Judith Penny case. Ugh, still creeps me out that they have the same name. Um, ugh, like, I don't know. Like, I almost want to, like, my personal take is like, I want to say that Lorraine did, in a way, have some type of ability that us everyday Joe Schmo, or who knows, me, have been experiencing some paranormal things in
Mhm.
the sense of like, and what we can get into that in a different episode. Um,
It might
like,
be the next one, considering we're diving into Conjuring and
yeah,
Annabelle.
yeah, no, seriously. But like, I guess what I'm just trying to say is like, I do kind of believe that Lorraine had a gift of some kind, whether it be as intense as it was described in the research, which, I think a lot of people like really outplayed it. Like, I don't know if it was as intense as maybe like what it's seen as in a way, I guess. But
Like exaggerated.
yeah, like I think it's really exaggerated that she had like, but I do think maybe she had some like senses, but at the same time, like I think Ed really like pushed the for profit part of it. Like
Right.
it like literally when they would go to these homes in these hauntings, Ed would literally paint these houses and then basically have Lorraine be the one to go up to the door and be like, hey, say that this is a haunted house and let's get into this. Like, I feel like he was the mastermind behind this, this whole, I did a lot of like research into like their legacy in the later years. So, they have this Oculate Museum, which they claim is this museum within their home, which at this point in 2024 is not open to the public. I
Correct.
actually have wanted to go visit this place like for years
I
and
know you're
finding
so
out.
sad.
And I was so sad finding out. And it's been closed for years too. Like, so
Since 2019
yeah, I was so,
when she
like,
died.
yeah, I'm so sad that I want to see it, but because there have been claims when we talk about like the Annabelle doll that when it was open, there were people that quote unquote taunted the doll and then later got into like horrible accidents. And we'll talk about that like later on.
You're
But
gonna have to fact check though, because I heard that
I
there's
heard
no
it was,
proof of it. So
yeah, and yeah,
yeah.
and that was like a brief
Gotta
phone
fact
call.
check your shit.
I know.
Gotta
So, but
look up these crime reports, brother.
I need to. But I heard that from multiple sources. So I think it might have been like one of those things that like
It's
everyone, a
like a
lot of people
legend
go,
though.
yeah, like I think, yeah, that's my issue. So anyway, my point is like, like truth be told, like, I really think like Ed pushed I guess the fame of it. And I actually started to do some research right before we hopped on this call. What categorized a location? What made Ed and Lorraine think a place was haunted? And like how they were able to quote unquote extract these like hauntings. And there were like barely like any articles on it. Like in the research I was doing about you know
Because a lot
like
of the times people came to them,
right,
what I
right,
gather. Like in the beginning, they were just, at that time, it's like, who are you gonna call?
Ghostbusters.
There you go. But like because, it wasn't a thing really until they came around. And so you have these people coming up and yeah, I want to investigate hauntings and you know a guy, I know a guy, we're all calling up the Warrens, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why it's like obviously I think in certain these cases where they were called to these things, there were obviously some real hauntings going on. But then
I mean, yeah, they were there for thousands. I think they definitely have seen some stuff and they're like, not everything's a lie. I just
right.
think they heavily exaggerate and they do make up extra stuff.
Right,
Like,
exactly. And I think it's that to make that for profit part. Like
right.
when they started quote unquote training these people to kind of like take over their legacy and to run this Tony Spera website,
It wasn't even Tony Sparrow at the beginning, and then he
it
just
wasn't,
married
no,
his family and
no,
took
like
it.
it, and like he kind of just took over. It was like, this is what we're doing. But a lot of these people that they wanted to, and I'm not saying anything bad, like a lot of them don't have any like background like in that kind of stuff. Not granted, like what type of background would you need to be a paranormal investigator? Like I'm thinking like
I don't
you're a
know.
priest and like if there's
Uh,
clearly anything evil, like we
like
need
you or
God.
I could do it. Anybody could do it. You just have
Right.
to have
So
the
like
equipment and like knowledge, I guess.
what is that training process? Like that's like another
Oh,
thing
right.
I'm
I see what
so
you're saying.
skeptical
Like,
about is like these people are coming from all over. They have no like background and I'm not
there's
like I
actually
said,
like not many people in the company though. If you look at the website, there's like three. So it's not
right.
like a bunch of people, but
But like beyond the Warrens, like they started so much skepticism and so many other like quote unquote paranormal investigators like came out of that. Like there's the TV show
like
Ghost
Zach,
Hunters and
yeah.
like they were kind of like the stepping stone into this universe of
And
like
now it's YouTubers like Sam and Colby, who
yeah.
we'll talk about next week. Well, for you guys, but we're gonna have to record it in a couple days.
No.
But yeah, no, very I think that I'll be nicer when talking about them next time because I was a little aggressive.
Yeah, a little bit.
Um, and mainly because I'm excited to talk about what we're talking about next because this frustrated me. Because I hate when I can't get a definitive answer. Like, so I think that I'll be a little happier in the next episode.
I agree with that, absolutely. Well, with that, guys, we really hope you enjoyed very much part one of this
Yes, and
segment.
this was like that dentist appointment that you really don't want to go to, but you
But
do it
like
anyway. And then the next episode, it's like the aftermath where you feel better and there's like no tooth pain.
and like to be
That's a terrible
clear,
analogy.
no, it's a good analogy because that like to me is like I did most of the grunt work on what we will talk about next episode. You
Exactly.
really carried the weight in this episode. I don't know
Uh,
where I got stupid and lost translation. I just like I don't know, man, life.
yeah, so yeah, we'll talk about Conjuring Annabelle and then because Megan did so much
I have all the cases.
research in all the cases. I will give her the floor for next time,
And I'm
aside from the Conjuring part, obviously, because that's the only one I told her she can't touch.
naturally.
Try me, bitch. All right. Anyway, Scott has to use the bathroom, so
Yeah, guys, I'm recording this in my bathroom because I don't really have like a desk like at my home to do this. So the bathroom counter is the best way to do it.
all right, Megan, since I talked mainly the whole time, I talked your ear off. Do you want to say the ending?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Keep it real, keep it freaky, and as always, keep it naturally. We love you. Talk to you next time.